Hello there and welcome back. I'm Leering Haddock, and here we are with episode 2 of our free game retrospective. Now I understand to some of you watching that these will be a bit of a look what you could have won, but if you're like me, you've registered each free game you can and it's just sat there. Also, remember the title of the channel, it's budget gaming, so not all games will be free, some will be games bought on sale, etc, etc. Another thing is, just because the game is no longer free doesn't mean it's not worth a purchase, especially if it's on sale. This episode we're heading to an island with natural beauty, fantastic tourism, and El Presidente's personal kill squad. Yes, this episode we're heading to Tropico. 5 to be precise. So let's dive into the crystal blue water, lounge on the beach, and squash some rebels as we head to run our own island paradise. Now obviously, city builder games have been around for decades, but that's where Tropico has its bonus. It's not just building a city, keeping your residents happy, you're building a dynasty where your character will have kids, legitimate and less so, and you have more control options than you can shake a stick at. I mean, where do I even start with this game? Well, firstly, you take up your mantle and you are leading an island nation under the dominion of a colonial power, as per many Caribbean islands in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, except a big difference here is that you'll claim independence from the colonial power much earlier than true to life, considering a lot of Caribbean nations, only gained full independence post-1960s. This does lead to an interesting game mechanic in particular. They want payment for their loss. Otherwise, they'll invade to ensure their investment has been protected. And before anyone says anything, I'm not condoning colonialism. It's basically, I just think it's a cool mechanic and it's something that, makes you think. Another invasion point comes after the World Wars, because, don't forget when the Allies defeat the Axis, you're then given a chance to take in Axis immigrants. Now, I know you can't hear the air quotes I'm doing as I say that, but, we all know it's an unveiled hint at the rat runs that Nazis used to escape to South America. The boys from Tropico. Who knew that in episode 2 we'd already be discussing colonial history and escaped Nazis, God forbid, we'll be moving on to politics. Speaking of politics, here's where Tropico shines. We've all played games like Civilization, Age of Empires, or a Total War game. Games where there's limited diplomacy, generally focused on dealing with other players. Got a war on 2 fronts and need to focus? Start diplomacy to win the fighting with one combatant until you're more prepared. But what if your diplomacy and politicking were internal? Don't get me wrong, there is external diplomacy that will be needed, but the majority of your time will be focused on your people. And because I've brought this up, I will admit it is one of my favourite little features, everyone's a person. I'm not trying to be existential, but it will make sense. Everyone has needs and wants. They need a place to live, but are there enough properties to live in? How do they pay for that property? Are there enough jobs on the island? What about food? Are there stores, bars, restaurants? They've found a residence. Is it being maintained? Has El Presidente appointed a good landlord? Are the kids being educated? Do you have enough educated individuals to build a new industry? Or will you need to bring in immigrants? Can they go to the opera? These questions are not typical of your average city builder game. I mean, when was the last time you played City Skyline or SimCity, and after building industrial, residential or commercial and entertainment, to then have to stave off an internal rebellion because of some of your policy choices? Housing, jobs, security and recreation, it all has to be provided, and in doing so throws up some difficult choices. These choices aren't even the simple ones of, do I want a bigger economy or military? You're deciding whether you offer universal healthcare to the population, choosing whether to give extra rations to your citizens, or choosing a professional military over conscription, which that choice can mess you up if done at the wrong time. To give an example using the military, on a playthrough I was a very Western democracy, votes for all, universal healthcare, and a professional military. Except in opting for a professional military, that then meant that the requirement for entry was a high school education, and as I was quite early on, I only had one high school, meaning I wasn't producing enough educated people to fill my military. Those who were in the military prior to this edict were removed from post. So as you can see, in making a decision to have no conscription, I caused 3 major problems for my country. Firstly, our army was decimated to only 1 or 2 members. Secondly, I now had a major unemployment problem, leading to the third problem: housing. How can they afford their house if they're no longer employed? They can't. And it leads to more shantytown shacks appearing in your towns, further degrading security, beauty, etc., which again causes other issues. Oh, and as an aside, on a playthrough, I was then assaulted with no military and boom, game over. As this little rambly section has just pointed out, there's so much to think about in your choices, be it construction, edicts, or even the constitution. It all has a knock-on effect, and those effects can either snowball, or just be so vast in its initial hit that it can take years of in-game time to fix what you've caused. I do feel like I've rambled a bit, in this episode, but as I said to Mrs. Haddock, I didn't realise how much I had to say about this game. The graphics are great, helping sell your vibrant potential utopia. Music is easygoing and doesn't feel like it intrudes, as well as, for the voice acting, just something about your aide Penultimo chiming in with El Presidente to bring your attention to something, or maybe I just enjoy being called El Presidente, but it works. So yeah, if it's in your library, give it a download, enjoy yourself. If you missed it, it's not all bad, it's definitely worth grabbing on a sale. So until next time, El Presidente, Lear and Haddock, out.
Research team developing new materials was wondering why this steel girder kept getting bigger and bigger, until it hit them. They will be missed. Pigs are excellent messengers. They are smart and relatively fast. Unfortunately, they tend to become bacon before they reach their destination.